Ebullient greetings. I'm your host, Jacquie Bird of Jacquie Bird Spiritual Wellness, your guide to stress and anxiety relief, mindfulness, awareness, self-care, self-love, and personal growth. Welcome and thank you for joining me as we roll with peace in mind. Today's riff is Are You on the Right Train? Riding on the Urge. These episodes feature people who are doing their thing, they follow their heart and their passion, and they create how they want, what they want, when they want, and they are riding on the right train. Today's spotlight is Mario Sprouse. But before I bring my guest on, there's some stuff I want to tell you about happening in February and March. Chill down, chill out, chillax, renew. My end of the month virtual Stress Busters guided meditation class. That's Sunday, February 28th at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come chill out. It's 30 minutes. Hang out, relax, just let go. And on March 14th, I am excited to present my new workshop called Gratitude is the Love Frequency. Gratitude is the Love Frequency. That is a guided meditation and journaling workshop. When we shift our focus to being grateful and appreciative throughout more of our day, it's a game changer. Gratitude resides within the love frequency. You cannot be stressed, anxious, angry, fearful, or doubtful when you exercise and practice gratitude. It is a way to open our hearts to what is working in our lives and shifts the focus away from our seemingly never-ending problems, as well as being an amazing gift to ourselves in self-care and self-development. Like begets like. The more gratitude we allow ourselves to feel, the more good feeling vibes and things we experience and share. So please don't miss this. Get your tickets now. The link is in the show description, so you can click right on that and go right to the workshop and see more details about it. So March 14th, Gratitude is the Love Frequency. February 28th, Chill Down, Chill Out, Chillax, Renew. End of the month, Stress Busters Guided Meditation Virtual Group Class. I hope you join me. You can find out about that on my website. And without further ado, here we go. But that is such a misnomer. Yes, it is a challenging field, but I would imagine if you are trying to become a scientist in a particular field of science, yep, that there's challenges there too. They're just challenges, period. That's so, it. To make one thing worse than other things is also going to stymie you, especially if that's what you want to do, but you're not going to do it because you've heard of, all these people talking about how hard it is, how rough it is, yada, 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 yada. I mean, the thing about, and this, I mean, as long as I've been a creative person, which has been my whole life. Yeah. There have been lots of times when I didn't know how I was going to get across that chasm, but I got across the chasm. Mm-hmm. So, the thing is that you will get across. And it's what you said earlier, which I love so much, about being on this planet and not thinking you have the equipment to handle what comes your way. Yeah. Yeah, and wow, that's exactly right. And when you realize it, just ask one or two more questions, and you'll see the folly of it. So if artists are not going to be making any money, and you don't want to do that, my response is, then when it was open, go to Broadway on a Wednesday, right around matinee time. The streets are filled with people taking kids to see a Broadway show. Right, when we had Broadway, yes. Now, it's packed with people to hit that 2 o'clock show. Can you imagine somebody spending $110 or $150 or whatever it is to take somebody to see a show and then say, but you don't want to be a dancer? But some people do that. But I know, and that's the folly of it. That's the folly. But because you are paying because I think it's $200.
Yeah, exactly right.
People are putting out that kind of money to see talent, but you would discourage somebody from that lifestyle.
Right.
It
doesn't make any sense.
It's the
no
hypocrisy in it, but you know that it's based in fear. It's based in fear, and also just having an idea on what things should be. And there is no things should be. Things are. And so how do you make the best of that? How do you take the clay? What are you going to make from the clay? And I keep coming back to pandemic because, you know, people want to be back to normal, and there will never be normal. You know, and normal didn't work for a whole lot of people. That's the other thing too.
Oh,
yeah. You know, there are a lot of people that don't want normal. They would. So I think that we individually and collectively need to really rethink what we think is normal, and maybe not ask for that, but maybe ask for a world where everybody can thrive. Everybody can thrive. And that means yourself as well. But I want to kind of go back a little bit, Mario. You know, it's funny, when I sit down to talk to people, usually I take people through their lives in terms of their journeys in regard to art or whatever they're creating in the present moment. But what I loved about just how this conversation flowed is that, you know, the audience gets to hear what I've been lucky to hear for 20 years. You know, in terms of the insight and the depth of wisdom that you possess and that you easily share with all of us. You've named all of the many, many, many things that you do. At the beginning of this, you talked about running track in school. Were you always a musician?
Yes, I started out as a child.
I hope so.
I hope. Dropped on the planet as an adult. No.
As an adult, right?
I began studying piano when I was 7. My brother was taking piano lessons at our home, and I saw him taking a lesson, and I went over to the piano. I remember this distinctly, and pressing the keys, you know, bang, 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 and saying, I want to do that. And my parents had the foresight to say, let's get him piano lessons. He wants to play, let him play. Now, my mother was not in the arts. My father would sing. He loved to sing and sang in choirs and chorales and did solo shows in Harlem in the 30s and 40s and 50s and all of that. And so there was music all around the house all of the time. But I started at 7. At age 13, by the time I got there, having studied for 6 years, I formed a band along with 2 other guys on the block called the G Clefs, or some whatever name it was at that time in junior high school.
The G Clefs.
And I knew that I wanted to play piano and to write music, and I was having a lot of fun doing it. And then I went on to high school. I didn't take any music courses in high school, but I knew that I was firmly in it. The band that I had formed had grown, and I was writing, doing all of the arrangements. I was performing with that band. By the time I got to college, I knew that I wanted to major in music. And so I did. I didn't have a sub-major. I didn't apply to any other college than City College, and got into that department.
I went there too.
Yes, back in the old days.
In the old days. Before there was tuition.
Before there was tuition, it's exactly right. It was free. So I knew that's where I wanted to go. But at the same time, I was a product of my times. I went to college from 1966 through 1970. And so all of what we know about the modern civil rights movement between Montgomery in the late 50s and King's assassination in 68 and after occurred in the time I was in school.
Wow.
So during that time, the songs that I was writing were revolutionary songs, or songs about liberation, or songs about freedom, and a bunch of other, lovesick heart, love songs and heart songs, and my heart just broke because I miss you, baby songs. But the thing is, I kept writing, kept doing what I was doing. Now, at the same time, on a parallel track, I had become the assistant director of the Upward Bound program at Columbia University. Because the other thing that I really loved doing was helping people in education. And so that's what I did from 1968, when I started working at Columbia University, until 1974, when I left and went back again in the summer of 77 it was to help people who were at risk but smart to get into higher education. And I did that for a good number of years and was very good at it. I say not as a patting myself on the back so much, but it was a time when you wanted to see people going off, because they were often the first person in their family to go to college, the first person in their family to get out of high school, the first person in their family to do any higher education. And so I wanted to be a part of that. And I was still doing music, but doing that as well. In 1973, I couldn't figure out why people were applying to colleges and had not really researched it. We had at the program, we had a college counselor who just quit. I'm out of here. And so I had to take over her duties. So I decided that I was going to do a program to take high school students by bus to different colleges. When I left Columbia.
Wow.
Yes, that's exactly how that started, college tours. I had my first trip in December of 1975. And between then and 2012 or 13, I took 18,000 students to 17 different colleges around New York State, concentrating on Binghamton and Albany. A few years ago, 2018, I guess it was, I received an honor from them because it was their honorary 50th anniversary, I should say, of their educational opportunity program. And I was the bus guy. I would be bringing up 50 or 100 or 150 kids. As it turned out, one of the people that I know is a singer named Mara Sanchez. She's a wonderful singer. When she was telling me that she graduated from Binghamton, I said, "You did?" She said, "Yeah, I went up there by bus in 75. I went, "You did? You were on my bus."
Oh, wow.
You were you were on my very first bus.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
That's always been a part of it, and I've done that. Wow. So from college, I then continued. I became the musical director for an advertising agency. I did all of the Dark and Lovely commercials at a particular time for the Lockhart and Pettis advertising agency. I did Gregory Hines live charts. And then in 1985, I met Gordon Parks and stayed with him 20 years as his music assistant.
Can you just, Mario, you just tell people who are not familiar who Gordon Parks was?
Yes.
Folks that are not familiar with this man.
Gordon Parks was a legendary Renaissance man who was primarily known as a photographer. He was the first Black photographer at Life magazine. He was born in 1912 in Fort Scott, Kansas, dirt poor. I mean, literally, he was born dead. And it was a Dr. Gordon who revived him, and hence his name, Gordon Parks. He became the filmmaker of The Learning Tree. He became an author. He became a musician. He became a writer, all because he said, "This is what I want to do." And he paid attention to it. He had no formal training. Kept at it. He never took a course on how to take a picture. He grabbed the camera and started shooting. And never took a formal class in music. He could not read music or the way that we normally read music. And so I was his music assistant on 3 films. He's just a legend. Look up Gordon Parks.
You gotta look him up.
Foundation.
Gordon Parks, you gotta look him up.
Yep.
If you kind of sort of think you know the name, it's because of Shaft.
Yep.
The original version of Shaft.
Absolutely. Shaft is the movie that he directed along with Isaac Hayes. But The Learning Tree, Shaft's big score he did, including one for PBS. I believe it was in 1985. It was called Solomon Northup's Odyssey. Avery Brooks was the person in the film who plays Solomon Northup.
Wonderful Avery Brooks.
Oh, yes. And years later, it became 12 Years a Slave, the movie that came out not too long ago. But Gordon had done that in 1985. And so his legacy is one of excellence.
Truly.
It is one of trying it. Do it. Try it. Try it. Do it. Try it.
Do it. Yes. Do it. Try it. I mean, we've got all these rules as humans, and it really puts you in a box. If you're trying to do what you've been told is the right thing, and it goes against what your soul is telling you to do, it's like, it's jail. It is voluntary jail. You're the jailer. You're the, in the jail, and the parole officer, the judge, you're the whole thing. You gotta live your life. You gotta live your life. And based on your terms, not what you think you should do, not what your parents told you to do, not what your husband tells you to do, your wife, your best partner, whatever. You gotta figure out what it is that you wish to do, what burns for you.
Yep.
Then do it and figure out a way to do it, because you can.
And you will have help doing it. There's a scripture, that the Psalm 37:4, which says, delight in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. What I have concentrated on with people over all these years is make sure it's the desire of your heart and not the desire of your mama's heart or your parents' heart or somebody else's heart, your coach's heart, your teacher's heart, your pastor's heart, your heart. Right. And that's what's most important, because when you take the journey in that direction, there will be hordes of people to help you. They are assigned to you. If you don't give them the opportunity to do their due, you won't have help. You'll think that I got to do all this by myself. No, not at all. Right. The people who have been mentors in my life appear.
Mario, as you said a few times during this interview, is you may feel like, I don't know how I'm going to do something, and you figure it out and you get help. There's help that is available. All you got to do is ask.
That's it.
You just ask, I need help with this. You can just sit in your room and say it, I need help with this, and you will get help.
It's right there. It is waiting on you. If you don't ask, it's just going to sit there. You have to go toward it, and it'll smack you when you die. So why didn't you call me? Why didn't you call me?
I love that.
It's going to smack you. And the asking has to be beyond the social norms. I did a retreat years ago, back in the mid-90s. On the retreat, there was the person from St. Martin, the island that I just loved. And I didn't know that. My heart just went out to him at the time. And he is a painter. And he, all during the retreat, it was a weekend retreat, he's doing various paintings, and it's beautiful, seascapes, landscapes, just stuff he's doing. At the end, he showed it to us. And, we were like, ooh, that's really, really, oh, wow, that's really. One of the people there said, can I have that? And he said, sure.
Oh, wow.
Now it was, everyone else is going, well, I really loved it, but I never would have asked him for it. I never would have. She said, can I have that? He said, sure. And I said to everybody else, there's the lesson of, I don't have to say anything else. We just spent, 900 hours on this retreat. The lesson comes down to that. Ask, it's there for you.
Ask, it's there for you. And it's like the date that you had that one time who went through the menu and said, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want this. This is what we do. We go, I don't want this, I don't want that. And instead of saying, I want this and I would love to have that, and I'm making space in my life for that, because you have to make space.
Yep.
To have it. If you go, oh, it'll never happen, I couldn't possibly ask, like those people said, I couldn't possibly ask. Well, Miss Thing asked and bang, he gave it to her. So you got to ask.
Just like that, she got it. The other thing is that we will use excuses like age or size or color or gender for not getting something. In other words, we're building a case against ourselves, and we're pretty good at that. I mean, we're like Perry Mason, and we're going to build a perfect case against ourselves. Why we can't do something, and it would be dangerous to come into contact with me if you're going to do that, because I will tear the case down.
Well, this is like truly what these episodes are about. Are you riding on the right train? Riding on the urge. That's the name of these interviews. And if this interview wasn't all about that, I don't know what was. It's like, you got to figure it out, and you got to ask. Not only do you ask outside of yourself, you have to ask of yourself. Of yourself. What is it that I want? And I find that we go, I want to be able to pay my mortgage, or I want to be able to pay my rent. You got to think bigger than that. Would you like to have peace in your life? Oh, okay. Would you like abundance? Would you like prosperity? Would you like good health? Like the essence of things. We don't look to the essence of things. We look at the material objects. And it's like when you are pursuing what you love, that fills you up. And as we've both been saying throughout this, is that you will find a way. There will be help. There will be help.
Yep. And the help is there, as I said, waiting on you, but also you have to be a little more clear about what you mean. So I said to the group, how many of you want abundance? They said, yes, we do. How many of you want prosperity? Yes, we do. Right on. And I said, abundance of what? I said, you weren't specific. Do you want an abundance of fear? You could have that.
I love that.
You want an abundance of lack? You can have that too. Do you want an abundance of trouble? You can have that too. True. Want it. So, what do you want?
Clarity.
And I had to laugh because it was an incident that happened to me again years ago. Living in this house, I would often take the bus into town to Manhattan. I live in Queens. And as I was looking out the window of the bus, I saw this beautiful, shiny, beautiful, just gorgeous red sports car. And I said, man, I would love to have that sports car in my driveway. Woo, it would look good. Yeah, I'd go on to work or whatever. The next morning, I was awakened to the sound of buzzing, like a buzz saw of some type. When I looked out the window, my neighbor was having his tree cut in front of his house, which is just next door to mine. His daughter parked her red sports car in my driveway to get it out of the way of the falling tree. And so I said, I just started laughing hysterically. I just started laughing and saying, okay, Lord, excuse me. I need to be more specific.
Yes.
I want to own the red sports car in my driveway. And God was saying, I gave you what you said. You said you wanted to have it on in your driveway. I gave it to you.
So
there it was right there. And I just laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. The other thing about abundance came just again from observation for the same Q1 bus, Q43 bus. Sunday morning, and I'm waiting to go into Manhattan. And there's a deli on that corner. And, sometimes they have leftover food. And there was a piece of maybe 6-inch piece of like Italian bread that was just on the street. And there was a little sparrow pecking at it. Within a few seconds, a larger bird came along. A larger blackbird came along, shooed the sparrow out of the way, and it started pecking on it. And then a larger blackbird came along with a yellow beak and started pecking at it and shooed the other bird away. Then a pigeon came by and started pecking at the piece of bread and shooed all the other birds away. Then a seagull came by and shooed the pigeon away. And it was having it all to itself. Then the Q1 bus came along, smashed the bread, and everybody could eat. So I said, sometimes God is like the Q1 bus that says, well, y'all just stop it, and just smashes it with the tire, and everybody could eat. So in very many ways, I look at the pandemic as being like the Q1 bus.
Yeah. Oh boy.
It's like the Q1. Okay, everybody's in the same boat. Y'all arguing here, you're arguing here, you're doing this here, you're doing that, you're divisive here, you're divisive there. I am smashing the piece of bread everybody can eat.
Yeah.
Now, can you imagine if all of those birds got together and said, oh, we wish it was the way that it was before when it was just one piece of bread and everything was nice and beautiful. No, y'all were fighting each other for the bread.
Oh my goodness.
Now you have enough bread for everyone to eat. And these are life's lessons that if you look, they're there. They are right there. So the universe, God, your spirit, the great spirit says to you, I got plans for you.
Yes. Are you listening? Are you paying attention?
So the idea, as you put it before, you're the judge, the jury, the warden, the jailer.
The jailer.
You're all of that.
Yeah.
If you insist on keeping your gifts, talents, and skills in somebody else's box. That is not going to work, not even a little bit. I had just finished a session in 1978 with Carmen McRae, Buster Williams, Cornell Dupree, Hubert Laws.
Jazz greats.
Jazz greats, Hank Crawford. All these people were on it, including Grover Washington Jr.
Wow.
We'd done an arrangement of Mr. Magic that was like a tone poem. It was really, really beautiful. And afterwards, he said, "Nice charts, man. That was really good." Piano player, who was Jorge Dalto. Jorge Dalto did the solo.
I love the heavy.
On This Masquerade. That piano solo was his.
Yes. Wow. Yes.
He said, "You could be the next Quincy Jones." And I said, "I'd rather be the first Mario Sprouse."
Oh, and on that note, bam, we're going to bring this to a close. But please tell our listeners the title of your book and where they can get your book.
Yes, the title of the book is Precious and Honored, a Spiritual Handbook for Artists. It is only 40 pages long. It's a little handbook. It goes into a number 10 envelope, and you can get it at precious and honored.net, www.preciousandhonored.net.
And I will have that in the show notes, so you'll be able to just click the link.
Yep, it's there, and it encapsulates all of what I've been talking about, because this is what I mentioned to my groups and to wonderful folks like Jacquie over these last many decades.
Yeah.
It's what it is that I firmly believe in and trust in. That's the other thing, aside from everything else. Do what you love, so you do have the love there, but trust that it will happen for you if it is something that you want.
And this goes beyond just so, because I don't want you all to think, "Oh, well, I'm not an artist. This book is not applicable."
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
buy his book, y'all. Get that wisdom, have it right in your hand. I cannot thank you enough. Wow. And thank you for being my friend all these years.
Oh, you're welcome, my dear. I love you dearly, dearly, dearly. And it's just a mutual thing, baby.
I love you too.
It's mutual.
I hope that you enjoyed that and was thoroughly inspired and uplifted by what you heard. If you are in a situation currently that is unfulfilling to you, be it a job or a career you've been pursuing, and you feel like there's something else that you really want to do or you already know what that is, get quiet, sit still, breathe in and out deeply, and begin to envision what that is that you wish to create. And remember, there's nothing too big. It's only small ideas. Think big and write that down. What is it that you wish to create? Write it down, put it in your phone, speak it out loud to people that are supportive of you, and go for it. Go for it. Don't delay. Start now, even if you plot in your mind what your escape plan is going to be. But go for it. This life is meant to be lived to the fullest. Take advantage. No matter what is happening in your life right now, there can always be room to create more. Thank you so much for listening. Please remember to visit JacquieBirdSpiritualWellness.com. Join my mailing list. I've got workshops coming up, as I mentioned earlier in the program. I have audiobooks, guided meditation videos, and audio and meditation music, everything for inspiration and to help you relieve stress, increase your mindfulness and awareness and presence. And remember to always roll with peace in mind.